Perfectionism.
Perfectionism.
Perfectionism. For a long time, I thought perfectionism is something amazing we should try to achieve, until that thought was shattered by nothing more than a pot. 31 to be exact. It's a story about a pottery class I first heard in a video from Ali Abdal. The pottery teacher divided his class into two groups. The first group has 30 days to make the one perfect pot. The other group gets 30 days to create 30 pots. I'll let Ali Abdal explain this one.
So we have a group that's focused on quality of a single pot, and we have a group that's focused on quantity, just making loads of them.
After 30 days, he gets a group of judges. Let's call them 1, 2, and 3. They should pick out the 10 best pots created. After a little bit of thinking, I like this one, I like 5, 12, and 18. They agreed on 10 pots. Surprisingly, the 10 best pots are all from group 2, the quantity group. After this story, I started to question the general concept of perfectionism. I think you might know the feeling of trying to be the perfect version of yourself, the perfect friend or family member to somebody else. Maybe you want to be perfect at your job, while also judging yourself for not being in perfect shape. I guess we all know the feeling of wanting to be perfect in several areas of our life. But what is the problem with perfectionism? And what has Poe to do with it? Well, for starters, I think we've all seen videos which are titled something like How to Stop Procrastinating or Why Procrastination Feels Bad. By the way, for anyone who didn't know, procrastination is the act of unnecessarily postponing tasks even though you know you're better off doing them now. And just give me one moment, I'll talk about Poe in a second. Coming back to perfectionism, the University of Queensland stated, perfectionism frequently leads to procrastination. When we feel overwhelming pressure to perform perfectly on the first try, we put off assignments and study until we feel ready to be perfect. A feeling that, of course, never comes. But how does this happen? Well, School of Life did quite a good video on this called The Perfectionist Trap. When we want to pursue something new, it doesn't matter if it's a hobby or a new job. The best examples in the field spark our interest. If you're interested in creating music and becoming an artist, you get dragged into the field because you like Drake or The Weeknd. Maybe you want to become an architect because you've seen the Opera House in Sydney. Could be you've seen what Warren Buffett achieved in the stock market. Possibly, or most likely, you've seen what Poe can do and you want to be the next dragon warrior. You get the point. The problem is we form our expectations through the achievements of the masters. As soon as we start our new project, we realize that the masters are miles ahead of us. We are aware of the good, we are aware of the master's perfect craft. We know what we want to create, but we realize it's far from what we can create. Why is that? Why do we think we can recreate what our masters do immediately? Well, it might be very simple. At first glance, everyone appears successful and great. We don't see all the years of hard work it took them to finally create that one song that blew up. We don't see all the failures it took to become the Dragon Warrior. We only see success. Oh, and I forgot one simple truth. Even if you are successful, you'll still fail. Don't believe me? Well, you might believe this example from Amazon and Jeff Bezos, who is one of the richest people on Earth. In 2014, Amazon launched the Fire Phone. And no, this is not what it looks like, it's just a normal phone. And I don't need to give you any big numbers explaining why it flopped, because although Amazon is one of the biggest companies on Earth, you've either never heard of the Fire Phone, like me, before researching it, or you don't know a single person that owns one. But, and now comes the big but, Jeff Bezos didn't really seem too bothered by it. Why is that? Well, he said, if you think that's a big failure, we're working on much bigger failures right now. And I'm not kidding. It brings us right back to the fact that you'll always fail. Doesn't matter how successful you are. And Jeff Bezos knows this as well. And he isn't the only example. The possibility is high that you won't find a successful person that doesn't also fail from time to time. It might be your favorite athlete that missed out on the last championship, or your favorite rapper whose most recent album flopped. And if it didn't happen yet, don't worry, it'll still happen. We have to stop focusing on the finished product someone took years to create. We can and should use it as inspiration, but we have to start looking further to see that everyone once started. Let's allow ourselves to do imperfect things to improve over time. Alright, now we understand the problem, but our thinking remains unchanged. I found that perfectionism can be split into adaptive and maladaptive perfectionism. We've talked a lot about maladaptive perfectionism. It's when we try to meet too high standards, where the focus is all or nothing and avoid errors. Here problems like procrastination arise quickly. Adaptive perfectionism, on the other hand, is a healthy kind of perfectionism, striving for achievable goals without being ultra-critical of the work. The focus is on doing it right and learning from failures. Well, how do I get from here to there? I found there might be a couple of things that might help. Struthless talked about the 70% rule, where, by the way, I think for myself, 80% rule would be more fitting, but that's just personal preference. The 70% rule basically encourages you to always aim for 70%, not 100. I'll take this scene as an example. My goal is to create an iPhone. Because of the rule, I ask myself, can I achieve perfection? Can this turn out like it would if Apple made this animation? Well, obviously no. Ask yourself, can I make it at least 70% perfect? For this project, yes, I believe I can. This solves quite a simple problem for perfectionists, the problem of starting. When you expect a perfect result before the project has even started, you expect something impossible, which makes the journey feel unnecessary, because there is no way on earth you'll achieve or fulfill that expectation. But if you only expect the 70% perfect result, there's no reason to postpone the project because it's possible to achieve your goal. The quote that stuck with me is,
"Your body of work is only as good as the projects you finish."
As an artist, that might sometimes be hard to accept. And I'm no better. I still have trouble accepting it. The best example is this very project. I've worked on this for the past months, and sometimes I tend to tell myself, why not use another couple months to create a better visual identity or get better at animating, drawing, or whatever. But while working on this video, I realized that the best thing you can do is just do it. I'll use my writing as an example. My writing isn't great, but I needed to write the story of this video. I could have watched hundreds of extra videos on writing, or take 10 additional courses, and it wouldn't have gotten me any further than just simply starting. There are so many things I didn't realize before starting, which I then was able to improve on immediately, or I'll be able to do so in the next video. It helped me a lot to just try and fail. But I've gotten a bit off topic. The quote goes hand in hand with the saying, taking one step a day or a week beats taking no steps at all. It takes us back to the pottery example. Creating something with quality as secondary focus makes achieving quality over time easier. Something else that has helped me personally is working with a deadline. It has two major benefits. First, it pressures you to start. And secondly, it limits your time to make it perfect. Meaning you can't spend another 2 days refining the project over and over again to a point where it doesn't make sense to do so. I did all this to learn about myself and my flaws as a perfectionist. A good example of my perfectionism is this very project you are watching right now. In the past couple of months, I've often encountered expecting a lot from myself. I want to create the best possible video with the best possible story and script. It helped me to realize that there is no perfect video. My video will be far from perfect. It's not possible to create one. It made me realize the best way to get better is just make one and see what will happen. How will the people react? Which leads me to my last point. This is my first video, as you might have noticed, and obviously it isn't perfect. It would help me a lot if you could just take a second to critique this video. Maybe something you'd like to see in the next video, maybe some animation or parts you found boring for any reason. Or even tell me what you liked, so that I'll keep that part or style for future videos. Really, anything helps. Let me know in the comments. Thank you.